Hey there, it's me by birth, Alex William Smith, better known to many people as Jonathan ROYLE, hypnotist of www.magicalguru.com. But in relation to my ongoing Court of Appeal case to get my two Mazher Mahmood News of the World related convictions overturned, all the evidence and facts and information can be found at www.circusofthemind.net. That's www.circusofthemind.net, circusofthemind.net. Go and check that out. Watch the rest of this video. The thing is, on the 5th of October 2021, it will be 5 years to the day that Mazher Mahmood was found guilty of perverting the course of justice in the Talisa Kontostavlos British pop star drugs allegation case, where ultimately she was found innocent. The case was stayed and collapsed, and well, tons of stuff has come to light over the years since about Mahmood's dishonesty and long-term illegal techniques. On the 9th of August 2021, amended grounds of appeal were submitted to the Courts of Appeal in London in relation to getting my two convictions reviewed and ultimately hopefully quashed. These four grounds, and please bear with me, I will have to look at the computer screen, or on circusofthemind.net. You can go and look and see in written form. But the four grounds are: ground one, the prosecution amounted to an abusive process due to the entrapment occasioned by Mazher Mahmood as part of an investigation on behalf of News of the World. Evidence galore of that. Ground two, Mahmood's subsequent conviction for conspiracy to pervert the course of justice in respect of similar such investigations calls into question the reliability of his evidence. Talisa is just, the Talisa trial collapsing in 2014 is just the tip of a massive iceberg of evidence, failed legal cases that collapsed over the years because of dishonesty and deception on the part of Mahmood. Ground three, fresh evidence obtained from the Royal Mint calls into question the basis for the prosecution and conviction. There's actually no proof the coins in my case were anything other than genuine, as it turns out. Anyway, ground four, there was a significant, I do mean significant, disclosure failure by the CPS in that prosecution material which seriously undermined Mazher Mahmood's credibility was not disclosed to the defence. And I mean a massive, monumental disclosure failure. These things collectively together, well, basically, had I known about them at the time of trial, I would never have changed my plea on day one of the trial from not guilty to guilty. I did that following bad advice that apparently I couldn't pursue the entrapment side of things, which in truth, it turns out I could have done, and that other people had previously successfully done so as well. Everything will finally come out in the wash soon. The first thing to do, though, before my case hits court, is to keep an eye on the High Court case of John Shannon, aka John Alford, versus News Group newspapers that will be hitting the courts around November 2021 this year, which covers many things that I'm also relying on as evidence in my appeal case, because kindly John's particulars of claim against News Group newspapers and various evidence that is successfully obtained illustrating Mahmood's long-term dishonesty, not least of which is proof galore that he lied massively at the Leveson inquiry when he said he never used private investigators, never did illegal information gathering. The truth is, I've got proof now. I've seen documentary evidence that private investigator was paid to do illegal information gathering in my case. I've also now got statements from numerous people, a bundle that's well over 1,500 A4 pages of statements and documented evidence, including proof from witness that Mazher Mahmood used date rape style drugs to manipulate and control his victims, which I've reported in the past, which numerous other people, including Talisa and celebrities and other victims galore, have stated in the past they thought their drinks were spiked because the reactions they had to minimal amounts of alcohol was way out of proportion, and they found themselves not able to think clearly and not being able to remember everything. There's statements that prove that Mahmood routinely edited recordings to make them look as though things had been said that hadn't, or to remove things that had been said so that it painted the person in a worse light than reality would have done. Sounds familiar? Much like the Talisa case. Yes, he had a modus operandi, which now has become very clear, and there's statements galore, evidence galore that will all come to light in the High Court case regarding John Shannon, aka John Alford versus News Group Newspapers, and then subsequently in my renewed appeal, which is currently working its way through the Courts of Appeal. Some would almost think it looks like some kind of massive cover-up. When you consider that, and again, I've got my computer screen in front of me, so if my eyeline goes there, it's so I read it correctly from my perfected grounds of appeal, that one major thing is that NGN, News Group Newspapers, have disclosed material, generic disclosure provided from NGN's archive in December 2020 in High Court litigation cases to Mr. Shannon in the phone hacking litigation, which demonstrates that the Metropolitan Police knew that Mazher Mahmood was an untruthful witness in 1994, circa 1994. Way predating John's case, way predating mine and many other people's cases. News Group Newspapers was in possession of police and Crown Prosecution Service documents identifying Mazher Mahmood as having given false evidence in a 1994 court case. 2. Showing the police to be reluctant to prosecute further cases based on Mahmood's activities. And 3. Suggesting the police would need to interview Mahmood under caution in relation to a subsequent article. 1994. Proof already of lies, deception and deceit by Mahmood known by the police and Crown Prosecution Service. This should have been disclosed to us. Had it been, I would never have changed my plea from not guilty to guilty. I would have continued to question Mahmood's reliability in court and argued the case, and I'm confident I would have won, or even easier than that, that the case would have been stayed and halted, just as the Talisa case was in 2014. So there's tons of stuff, but I can't tell you about it yet until it's gone through the courts. Suffice to say, I have statements galore from previous Mahmood victims, but including ones whose cases were thrown out of court, where they were not found guilty of things, ultimately, because they were able to uncover dishonesty and deception and a manipulation and other things on the part of Mahmood, which shows his modus operandi has been the same in the vast majority of cases. Yes, in short, as explained on circusofthemind.net, I originally engineered, I thought, a situation where I intended to expose Mazher Mahmood's dishonesty and dodgy techniques and ultimately his fabrication of stories and such like. But it turns out on reflection that I was more than a victim and manipulated more than I actually realised, because it turns out that my publicist for a number of years, Alan Breeze, mentioned on circusofthemind.net and in my renewed perfected grounds of appeal, was the one who originally suggested to me that I should perhaps do some kind of fake story involving the fake Sheikh. and that combined, he manipulated the situation as well as no doubt my phone being hacked, so that they knew that I'd started to get suspicious that Alan Breeze was perhaps ready to sell me out, and thus I decided that I would try and pull the wool over the eyes of everybody, and at the same time expose the dishonesty of a major tabloid Sunday newspaper journalist, namely Mazher Mahmood. But ultimately it backfired because they knew they were in control. They drugged me. They manipulated me. They threatened me behind the scenes. They pressurized me. They drugged me, I say again, because they ultimately supplied the money to allow this to happen. Otherwise it never could have done. And what they ultimately, it looks like, were the start, middle and end of the supply chain. Look at circusofthemind.net. There's a video link under this video on YouTube as well to an interview where I explain fully more details about this. More will come out in November in the High Court case regarding John Shannon, John Alford. There's a link to more about that, links to byline articles below this video on YouTube also. My name by birth, Alex William Smith. At the time, I was better known as Alex Leroy, hypnotist, magician, and Alex Alexander, belly button psychic. I'm now known as Jonathan Royle, hypnotist and psychic entertainer, trying to rebuild my career, but ultimately, Mazher Mahmood's lies, fabrications, use of illegal information gathering, manipulation, intimidation, and drugging me, and then publishing stuff I'd never even said, and editing evidence to make things look, ruined my career and ruined my life. And thankfully soon the truth will be out there massively, although it is there for those people who choose to look at circusofthemind.net and the evidence galore that's there.